We are in downtown Mobile, Alabama, outside of the Mobile Convention Center, as today was the final day of preparations before the 2020 Senior Bowl kicks off Saturday afternoon. Marisa Contipelli and Dave Lapham with you. And Dave, today was primarily focused on meetings and really getting those last couple of conversations in before the guys take the field on Saturday. And they even had an hour to spend with the players on the opposite roster, the North and South players, getting a chance to work with coaches from the other side. And that really goes a long way in the evaluation process.
Absolutely. You want to be down here and spend time with both rosters. You don't want to just be focused on one. So this time today is invaluable. Get to sit down and really find out what makes these players in the North tick a little bit. And I think they were scheduled to do a walkthrough, and they decided to just do meetings. And I think these guys worked really hard, as we saw Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think they wanted to get them off their feet, let them get their legs back, because a lot of these guys haven't played football for a long time. And I noticed in the first workout, some guys were having some issues, some cardiovascular issues, getting back to playing football, the push, pull of football, everything that goes along with it. So I think it was a pretty wise move, really. And, it's one of those deals where just get off your feet, relax, think about your assignments one last time, and get ready to put your best foot forward and have a great performance on game day on Saturday.
Absolutely. Well, Laph, something we touched on in yesterday's recap is the rule changes. We talked about it on special teams, but it's going to be in all facets of the game, and they're really taking into consideration player safety. They don't want any guys getting injured, so something we won't be seeing is blitzes. But what are some other rule changes that'll come into effect tomorrow?
Well, no overtime. They don't want to extend the game because of player safety. So this game can end in a tie. There's no replay, no instant replay, so it's not going to lengthen the football game, let them stay out there unnecessarily. And these formations, everything's pretty simple. Like you said, there's no blitzing. There's no zone blitz where a defensive lineman drops and a linebacker or defensive back rushes. There's no buzz coverage where interchange assignments between defensive backs and linebackers. None of that confusing stuff. It's just very, very vanilla. And they're going to line up in 21 personnel, which is 2 backs, 1 tight end, and a couple of receivers. 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. And then 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end. 3 wide receivers is the maximum. No 4 receivers, no 5 receiver sets, empty backfield, nothing like that. So there's no short yardage goal line substitution. You have to stay in a base 3-4 or 4-3 defense, so you don't have to worry about extra responsibilities there. You can play nickel defense, extra defensive back when there's 3 receivers on the field, but no dime, because they can't put 4 receivers out there, so you can't have extra defensive backs other than the 1 defensive back for the 3rd wide receiver. So as we talked about, there's no intentional grounding. Quarterback can throw it away. You can't block below the waist anywhere. Special teams on kicks, at the line of scrimmage, you can't cut defensive linemen. That's player safety deal. 4-man rush maximum, no twists, no stunts, that type of thing. You have to play 2 deep or 3 deep coverages. It has to be a safety in the middle of the football field between the hash marks, all for simplicity, for the quarterbacks to make easy reads. And here's a couple of scoring things that are very interesting to me in this game. If you score and you're still behind by 20 points or more, you get the ball. You get the ball to the 25-yard line again. They want to keep the game close. And at any time, they're doing this in the Pro Bowl as well. When you kick an extra point or a field goal, you can decide to take the ball at your 25-yard line, 4th and 15. And if you convert, you keep the ball. If you don't, they get the ball on a short field against you. So in other words, if you're down a couple of scores with 3 minutes to go and you score, how are you going to win the game? Well, they're trying this out. They're trying this rule out, this 4th and 15. You might be able to convert it 25, 30% of the time, 1 out of 4, 1 out of 3. We'll see if that comes into play in the Senior Bowl tomorrow. It'll be interesting.
So it's still going to be football, but it's going to look a lot different than what we're all used to. And Lap, I'm really impressed that you were able to rattle off all of those different rule changes, because there is a lot that will come into play tomorrow. But overall, I mean, we've gotten to see these guys work out throughout the week. I'm really looking forward to seeing quarterback Jalen Hurts out there. So much has been talked about Justin Herbert and how great he has looked during practices this week. But Hurts, he's been the fan favorite anytime fans and people have been around wanting to meet and greet him. So I want to see how Jalen will handle coming back to Alabama and playing, and it could come down to if he's going to be the quarterback in there in the second half later in the game, is he going to have to make a play to extend a situation and help get the South team to get points on the board, and really how is he going to perform under pressure? Because Lap, all he's really done this week is drive his draft staff and draft capital up.
Absolutely, and sometimes he creates plays that end up being better than the play that was called. and he may have to do that because, as we've heard during the course of the week, the South is blessed with better quarterbacks. The North is blessed with better offensive and defensive linemen. So will those South quarterbacks have time? Will the offensive line be able to control the North's defensive line enough to let the quarterbacks make plays? If not, they're going to have to create and extend, like you said. And will the South be able to put some pressure on the North quarterbacks if the North's offensive line is that much better? So, as always, being a former offensive lineman, I'm going to be watching the pits and see that's where the games are won and lost. And the quarterbacks get all the dates, and the linemen are just mushrooms. They keep in the dark, and
they're the ones doing the hard job. They're doing the work.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's fun though. I mean, I remember this game very, very vividly. I remember it not like it was yesterday, but a few yesterdays ago, and it was a long time ago. But it leaves an impression, and I still have friends that I made in this football game. Bill Kohler, who was MVP in this football game, won a baby blue Dodge Charger. He got drafted in the first round by the Bengals. I get drafted in the third round. We were fast friends. It started at the Senior Bowl. I was in his wedding. I mean, it's like when you go through anything like this, there's a bond that always remains. It always stays with you.
Oh, and it's absolutely great to see the different connections that are made. And I know we've experienced that this week too, just getting to talk with different NFL personnel, national media members that have been down here. Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Senior Bowl, said there was close to 1,000 NFL personnel down here this week. So it's just been a great opportunity all around.
It is. It's like a convention. It's a convention of football, and everybody that loves the game of football, whether it's your occupation, if it's your vocation, your avocation. If you're working football, or if you're a fan, Senior Bowl is all for you. There's no doubt.
Well, certainly looking forward to game time tomorrow. It's coming up on NFL Network, 2:30 Eastern time. You can check out all the action between the Bengals and the Lions, South team versus the North team. We will also have coverage for you at Bengals.com and on all of our social media pages. So make sure to continue to follow along. And thank you for everyone who has tuned in each day to one of our Senior Bowl recaps.